All right, let's get a start. Welcome to Little Marketing's first webinar. The reason you're all here today, no doubt, is to learn, is to top up your learning, or get some extra motivation that you need as a small business owner. Today, I'm joined by James Anderson, one of Little Marketing's senior marketing consultants. James, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Looking forward to today. I'm braving the cold over here in New Zealand, but on holidays at the moment with the family. But yeah, looking forward to getting into it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for jumping on from New Zealand. Very good. Looks a
No
bit
worries.
looks a bit gloomy behind you.
Yeah, snow's coming in, which is exciting. But yeah, it's starting to get very cold.
Awesome. All right, great. We've got a jam-packed session for everyone today. So just a bit of a background from a marketing perspective. Now, we know that marketing for small business owners is super overwhelming. And not just is marketing overwhelming, but of course, as business owners, everything is overwhelming, whether it's using Xero, doing your pay slips, having that growth mindset, trying to save money, whatever it might be, managing staff, all these things. So not only is marketing overwhelming, but running a business overwhelming. So we're hoping today that you get some tangible bits and pieces that you can go away and implement in your business. And of course, if you need that support and help, we are here to help you do that as well. So let's get into the agenda for today. So what do we want to do in terms of giving you the edge in marketing your small business? So let's go through the agenda. So first up, we're going to talk about the meaning of marketing, what it means to you as a small business owner, and how you can be great at it, and some tangible tips around that. Then we will discuss the difference between marketing strategy and marketing activities. Now, those words are thrown around fairly regularly, so we're going to talk about what they mean and how they actually impact your business. Then we will discuss brand positioning. Sounds complicated. It's not. We'll talk a bit about what that is and again, how that can relate to your small business. We will then discuss one of the key obstacles in marketing and how we can overcome that obstacle by creating some structure around your marketing. And then at the end, a bit of a summary. And then you can then send through your questions and we will answer each one as best as we can after the webinar. So let's get into the webinar. You're ready, James? Ready to go?
Ready to go. Let's do it.
All right, cool. So if we take a step back from a business owner perspective, the key focus generally in running your business is about driving revenue and sales, and it should be. And you should never be ashamed to talk about money or making a profit in the business. The number one objective of running your business should be about making money and profit. It's not a dirty word because without money and profit, you can't actually make decisions, and you don't have choices in life and within business. So never be ashamed that profit, revenue, and sales are the key focus within your business. Let's talk about the meaning of marketing. So for me, everyone has their own definition of marketing. I can see James smiling already. So when I talk about marketing, I summarize it like this. Marketing is every touch point in and around your business. So from what your business card looks like, to what your website looks like, to what you're communicating, to how you're dressed, to all these things create a perception in the mind of your customers and clients around what you do and why you're different and how you can potentially help them. So for me, marketing is every touch point and every communication in and around your business. And as I said, it creates a perception or a meaning around what you do in the minds of your customers and clients. So for me, that's the succinct and simple definition of marketing. James, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's spot on. Marketing is communication. I think as a concept, it's communicating with your stakeholders or prospects or anyone who will come as a touch point to your business.
Yep.
And then within that, there's different types of marketing. So specifically, you can break down marketing activities into two different categories: direct marketing and branding. Um, and I think the importance of branding, I think we're going to get into that a little bit later, but it's good to introduce here that the importance of branding within marketing, um, and then ROI comes into the conversation when you start thinking about the difference between direct marketing and branding, and how we spend our money on marketing and what we expect the outcomes from that spend. But
And
if
when
we
you
were to,
say ROI, for those
yeah,
people
of course,
listening, return on investment.
return on investment, that's right.
Yeah.
Which we're always looking at in marketing. But when we break it down between direct marketing and branding, direct marketing would be lead generation, offers on Facebook, sales funnels, all that sort of stuff. It has its place within different businesses and different strategies, definitely.
Yep.
But depending on what your objectives are, for the most part, you need to add branding, or at least a spend on branding with direct marketing. If you're just spending money on direct marketing, it becomes a problem, because as you said in that last point there, marketing is all about the perception that it creates in the mind of the marketplace. So if we're adding, if we're running Facebook ads or different things on that's just purely the direct marketing tactic, it's kind of a race to the bottom, right? 20% off this product, or we'll give you one free after you buy 3 more with us. It's
Yep.
all direct marketing, trying to beat everyone else to that cost per click, or whatever it is that the tactic is. But if we're not increasing the value of our brand at the same time, then it's a race to the bottom. So then the number 2 is branding. And as I said, we're going to get into that in a little bit. But yeah, that's basically increasing the value of your product or commodity to be worth more than the commodity itself. So if we think of a couple of examples, there's Nike. If we take the tick off the side of Nike's shoe, the commodity is worth maybe $20 to $30. But as soon as we add that tick on, we've increased the value of that brand exponentially, $100, $200. So the value of your business is directly related to the communication and the quality of that communication. I think that's marketing in a nutshell, or at least to me. That's my definition. Everyone has their own.
That's a big nutshell. And what what we're going to do today, and we spoke about marketing being overwhelming. And so just in James's definition there, you can see how overwhelming it can be. So what we're going to do today, we're going to simplify everything so that you know how it impacts your business from the ground up, so that you're not getting ahead of yourself, and that you're making it tangible, and that we're simplifying it for you.
Absolutely. You know that I love the theory behind marketing, so I could go on for hours. But yes, let's simplify.
Absolutely. So let's talk about why marketing is so important. There are so many reasons why marketing is important. So it helps you to define what you do in business, and we're going to talk a lot about that. So that's on the branding part that James was talking about. It helps you to create a meaning. So again, every touch point, everything you do within a business creates a meaning of some sort. It helps you to stand out from the competition. So if you're not communicating what you do and why you're different, then any communication that you're doing is a waste. It helps you to get in your customer's mind. So we want to find that place in your customer's mind where there's the least amount of competition. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. Again, it helps to communicate and reiterate what you do and how you help people. It helps you to keep customers. So being top of mind with your customers is so important to create that loyalty and keep them as a customer and client. And it obviously helps you to create and get new customers and clients. So the more frequent we are in activity, the more consistent we are with our activity, the better chance we have of getting new ones. And we're going to talk about consistency a lot today. And of course, if you are really clear about what you do and why you're different, it makes it easier to tell people what you do. And we're going to talk today around how you can simplify communicating what you do and why you're different. So that's the crux of the brand bit that James was talking about. So it all starts with the brand. All the activity stuff are secondary, and we're going to talk about that as well today. So how can you be great at it? So let's talk about how we're going to be great at it. There's 2 key areas. So maybe if you're making some notes, write these 2 areas down right now. The first is consistency in look, feel, and message. And the second is consistency in the frequency, I should say, of the activity. So if you look at and consider the best brands in the world, when they first started, their look, feel, and message was always the same. They said the same thing over and over again. And it might seem boring, but it's the best way that you're able to cut through. We live in an over-communicated society, and we're going to talk a bit about that today as well. So the more consistent you are and repetitive you are in what you do and why you're different, the easier it is to cut through. And then it's making sure that we're consistent in the frequency of the activity, how regular we're communicating. We did a video a few weeks ago where we spoke about the fact that if you are doing your marketing more frequently than your competitors, and the message that you're putting out there is consistent, you have a better chance of your clients and customers choosing you over the competition. If you're consistent in the message and you're consistent in the frequency. If you're doing activity once a week, twice a week, and there's a plan around it, and you have a consistent message, but your competitors are doing it ad hoc, once a month, maybe twice a month, then you have a high chance of success and high chance of clients and consumers choosing you. Now, they may not need you today, tomorrow, next week, but the time comes, when the time comes and you've been consistent, then you have a better chance of them choosing you over the competition.
Yeah, another point there, Michael, is that the reason that we're consistently and frequently saying the same message or using the same elements in our brand is that you might post a really key positioning post on socials, for example, and if we're not regularly updating that, that'll fall to the bottom of the feed, and new leads who have never heard about you before will fall behind. So when we talk about specific tactics within the overarching strategy of your business, there's a key reason why we keep that front of mind, constantly not posting the exact same thing, but keeping that fresh, but consistency across everything we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that reiteration. So how do we create that consistency? The key in creating that consistency is by creating some structure in your marketing. I mentioned earlier that as business owners, we're so busy running a business, and lots of things in your business. So you not only need structure in your marketing, but structure in your business in general. So the best way, and we've learned this in working with business owners for 15 years, is the best way to create some structure is by creating a marketing plan. So there's a plan and a structure around what you're doing from a marketing perspective. And we're going to talk about the details around creating a marketing plan, and in future webinars, work with you to actually create a marketing plan as well. Let's talk about being a marketing-led business. James, do you want to drive this one?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. So how can you be a marketing-led business? You want your marketing to be the crux of everything you do, and the first thing that that leads your business. So the first point there, Michael, it's every fiber of your being, and part of your daily, weekly, or monthly routine. So when you build it into your routine and you create some structure around it, it'll become habitual. At first, it'll feel inauthentic or potentially laborious, and it can be difficult. But once you create that routine, you do it part of your weekly, daily, monthly routine, then it'll become part of your business identity, and you'll enjoy doing it. Every decision you make, not just in marketing, you think about marketing as you make every decision in your business, and engage your team members on the activities too. So don't just drive it yourself. Bring your team members into it. Make it a holistic kind of part of the entire business and entire company, and that's how your business becomes marketing led, because everyone's engaged, everyone has some buy-in, and it becomes a conversation rather than a decision at the top.
Yeah.
Make someone accountable too. So I love this. I think when you create some structure and some process around who's doing the work, if it's you or if it's someone else in your business, then you're able to empower some of your team members to take on the work, but it becomes a process and a task for to be able to create that consistency, the key word for today. that consistency throughout your business. So create the processes now. And even if you don't have team members yet, now's a good time to start planning for them. So create those processes, start fulfilling it yourself, and then once you hire your first team member, there'll be that process and the systemized work for them to take it over immediately. And then weekly or monthly marketing discussions to assess, reassess, measure, and evaluate the success of the marketing and how it's all working. And then create some structure, as I said, in your marketing by creating that marketing plan. So marketing plan will create a huge amount of structure and guide everything that you do in your marketing. And it can extend to other areas of your business operations and other areas, not just marketing as well.
So James, we've mentioned marketing plan a few times today. So let's talk about what a marketing plan is. So we do marketing plans every day of the week. That's how our teams help our clients. So for us, remember, it's all about small business owners. So it's not a 50-page document that sits on the shelf and collects dust. That is a waste time, money, energy for small business owners. It's about having a simple process and a document that we create with you or you create yourself that outlines your positioning and positioning statement. So we spoke about consistency and look, feel, and message. So when we talk about look, feel, and message, we're talking about your positioning and positioning statement. And we're going to talk about what positioning means. And then the second part of the plan is about having an investment and timing plan, which covers off that consistency in frequency of activity that we spoke about. So the two core elements of a plan cover off the consistency in look, feel, and message, and the consistency in frequency activity. And as James said, consistency is the key word today. So by having those two elements as part of your marketing plan, gives your marketing plan the best chance of success. So not only in the timing of actually getting stuff done, but in the look, feel, and message, because you don't want to waste time, energy, and money on the frequency of the activity if the look, feel, and message isn't consistent. Anything I've missed there, James? That was all pretty clear.
No, you've nailed it.
All right, cool. All right, so let's talk about being a marketing-led business versus one that isn't marketing-led. So let's talk about the marketing-led business first. So you're going to notice some professional branding. You're going to see a clear and concise message that people understand to know what it is that you do and why you're different. Really defining that point of difference, not being like every other business, not saying, oh, our point of difference is service. If your point of difference is based on service, that's not going to work anymore. People expect that a level of service is high, regardless of whether you sell widgets, whether you sell a $10 kebab, or whether you sell real estate. Your service has to be perfect. So service isn't a point of difference anymore. It's a staple, and it's the minimum requirement when you're running a business. What else is a marketing-led business? It's having a clear action and investment plan that outlines what tomorrow's activities looks like. So it's, again, that plan and that structure in place, and it being every fiber of your being.
And that's so important for if you're passing on some of the marketing plan to some of your staff as well, employees. That word at the end there was tomorrow. What's tomorrow's activities look like?
Yeah.
And it's as simple as rather than reacting to every situation or opportunity that comes up, being proactive in your marketing. That's what a plan creates.
Love it. So let's talk about a business that isn't marketing led. So it's where your branding looks like you probably paid 99 cents and you look like an amateur or didn't pay anyone at all. Where every day feels like you're starting again. And that's not just in marketing. People that don't have structure in their life feel like they wake up and every day is like starting all over again. Oh, what's the first thing I need to do today? So it's having, again, I think you used the word habitual earlier, James. So it's, if you don't have that structure, there's no habit in your marketing or in your life or your business in general. Where you feel like you're constantly chasing your tail in business and in general, because again, there's no structure, where your message changes every day. Oh, what am I going to communicate today? What am I going to talk about that I'm different today? Your message needs to be consistent day in and day out. So the message needs to be super clear, and where you're not super obvious about what you do and why you're different. People, again, we live in an over-communicated society, and we're going to talk about that shortly. But if you're not obvious and people need to decipher what it is that you do, how you're going to help them, why you're different, who their audience is, then it's going to be hard for you to cut through and fighting up against the competition. And the last one, we spoke about being overwhelmed. So business is overwhelming, marketing is overwhelming. So we speak to business owners every day, and James's intro showed you how overwhelming marketing can be. And I think he did that on purpose. I think he did that on purpose to scare everybody. But if you're overwhelmed, chances are, if you don't have structure and you're not marketing led, you're overwhelmed, you're wasting time, energy, and money on marketing in your business, and you don't want to do that. Structure eliminates that wastage. Let's talk about why businesses believe that they need marketing. So when our consultants first speak to business owners, they believe that there's one of two reasons for marketing, or how marketing can help them. So the first is driving revenue. They want marketing to help them drive revenue and sales. And we spoke at the beginning of the webinar how important that is for your business. So absolutely, it's a key objective. And they also believe that it can make them look good. So make them look bigger, make them look smarter, make them look more professional. So marketing from a small business owner mindset perspective has one or two objectives. And I would say most of you out there are considering that and thinking about that, and define it in your mind within one or two categories. So maybe just in your prompt there, write down now which one of those you feel like marketing's objective for you and your business is. I'll give you a few seconds to type that in. All right, awesome. Let's keep going. So strategy before activities. So a lot of what James's intro was about this. It was about strategy before activities. So let's go through that now. The strategy, that clear and simple message, that consistency in message, needs to define what we do, why we're different, and communicate this consistently. Now, most small business owners do the opposite. They do the activities first. What do I mean by that? So we will have a client that will come to us and they'll say, oh, previously we've spent $1,000 on some type of marketing activity, but it hasn't worked. And our first question to them is, what is it that you are communicating in that activity that showed what you do and why you're different? And often the reaction or the face that we get is quite blank, because they're not sure what they've communicated that makes them stand out. And that's generally why the activity hasn't worked, because they haven't given people, or they haven't clearly defined what they do and why they're different, and give people a reason to choose them over the competition. Really key. So, as we said, defining what you do, that strategy is that look, feel, and message. And then, of course, we need to do that frequently. By doing, again, consistency in look, feel, and message and frequency. And I see James laughing because he knows I'm repeating that word consistency. I'm consistently using the word consistent on purpose.
Love it.
It's key to make sure that your activities are working. It gives your marketing the best chance of success. And as I said, plenty of businesses do the opposite, right? So they want to do the activities, they want to make money, they feel like doing the activities is going to just drive revenue. That's just not the reality. James, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. The only thing I want to add is that potentially, if you're looking into marketing, you've probably heard the word strategy thrown around by in the industry. It's a buzzword, and different different businesses have different ways of looking at strategy. I think strategy can be something really, really simple to implement in your business. And really, it just comes back to that structure again. Maybe two keywords for today: structure and consistency. But
Yep.
yeah, it comes back to creating that structure and the overarching plan on what we're trying to achieve. And when we talk about the activities and in setting up a marketing plan at a later date, maybe in a different in a future webinar, um, you look at assigning the objectives to every activity that we create. But within a strategy, it can be really simple. I think that's the key to take away from this. That there's a lot of stuff out there on strategy, but it can be really simple to implement in your business. And really, it's just to create that roadmap for you to begin working freely on activities in your business.
Yeah, for sure. So if we redefine that strategy is that positioning is that look, feel, and message. So it's not overly complicated, and we're going to talk about brand positioning shortly as well. So marketing is always a battle of your customer's mind. So I'll make on the screen here. I've been using this visual here for about 12 years, I think. His ears are a bit out of proportion, but that's okay. So that is your average customer. They live in such an over-communicated society. All of those crosses are all the communication touch points. Spotify, YouTube, radio, TV, the news, newspapers, Facebook, whatever it might be. We live in an over-communicated and cluttered society. So we need to find, as business owners, you need to find that position in the mind where there is the least amount of competition. And that's why I say marketing is a battle of your customer's mind, because we don't want to compete. We want to find that position that makes us different to the competition. So my question to you is, where are you positioned in the mind of your customers? So the way that you position your business and your brand, what you do, why you're different to the competition, who you do it for, is all you have as a business on day one. And it's okay as a business, if you already got an existing business, to throw out every message that you have already and bring it back to basics. Pretend you're starting on day one. Start to think about how can you position your business and your brand in the mind of your customers that is different to the competition. What you do, why you're different, and who you do it for. So start to have a think about that, and throw all that, declutter everything else, and just come back to that. Sit down, piece of paper, pen, and think about back to basics, what you do and why you're different, and find that positioning. Because without that, you want then the tools. So once you have that, I should say, the tools that you then use to communicate that positioning can then help you drive sales. So some of the examples James gave before, like Facebook or Instagram or Google Ads or whatever, there's a million activities out there. That's just a snapshot. The activities and the tools are the easy part. Trust me, it's the positioning and finding that point of difference is the hardest part. But as I mentioned before, business owners want to do the tool first because it's the exciting part. It's them seeing their name in bright lights or someone liking their social media post, and all of that's great, but it doesn't help you cut through. And that's the key thing. So first, it's about the brand. It's about what that positioning is and how we communicate it. So what should your marketing approach be? It should be, what does my brand mean? How am I positioning my brand in a way that is different competition? Think about what the marketing activities are in order to then drive sales and revenue for your business. All right, tell me why this is important. I'll do this one, James.
Yeah,
I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll.
Yeah.
So why is this important? So we want to make sure that we're communicating to the outside world that strong point of difference and that strong positioning where there's the least amount of competition. That then gives you the higher chance of success. Because if you're communicating the same, so if or you and your competitors are doing, sending out flyers and you're all doing the same thing and you're communicating the same thing, then why should a customer or consumer choose you over the competition? So we need to find what our positioning and point of difference is. As I mentioned, most small businesses do the opposite. They do the sale. They think about, how am I going to get sales? And then think about, I'll do that, but then what does my brand mean? And how, that brand sounds overly complicated. It's not. Brand is how are you positioning your business and your brand in the minds of your customers that's different to the competition? So there's a few things that you need to start to consider. James?
Yes. So we need to consider, what are we communicating to the outside world? What makes you different? Why should they choose you over the competition? Who is your audience? And what is your offering? So we need to be really clear on these 5 things. What are we communicating to the outside world? What makes you different? Competition, then get really clear on who your audience is, and then finally your offering. And your offerings, when you're really clear on these things, and you're communicating your message to your prospects, the offering can go hand in hand with your marketing. So offering is obviously part of your marketing, sorry, but there becomes this distinct relationship between so your service or your product and building that offer out through your marketing. Your marketing, as we said before, becomes this kind of overlap between all parts of your business. Being a marketing-led business means you consider your marketing in everything, and these 5 points you need to consider. And it all comes back to your positioning. So, Michael, I'll let you continue here, but yeah, it all comes back to your positioning and in the minds of your customers. You take it away, mate.
I was thinking, I might just go back a second. I was thinking about all these points on the screen here that you just spoke about. Like our consultants, and James, you've done this many times. You spend 4 hours with the client to talk about this stuff.
Yeah,
like it's a pretty intense process. I know when I used to do it, I'd have a serious headache at the end of that session. I'm sure you feel like a drink at the end of yours as well. So they're intense session, and it's because they are tough questions to ask. And they're tougher questions to answer sometimes, because generally people, and as business owners, everyone's listening to this, you start a business because potentially you had a background in some type of expertise, so you started the business. You're not taught, no one's taught how to run a business or how to create a point of difference or anything like that. So it's about going through that process to do that. Simplify everything and consider the key points that are on the screen there.
Yeah.
And as James said, it always comes back to the positioning. And by considering those points, it helps you to create that positioning and why you do it. And then again, communicate it so that your sales activities and your marketing activities can work. So let's talk about positioning in marketing. So I've mentioned this a few times, but positioning is about positioning you, your business, and your brand in the minds of your customers where there's the least amount of competition, and that's the key. And a strong and consistent positioning shows leadership in the marketplace. We all want to deal with and buy things from leaders in our industry, or experts in what they do. Whether it's I used the kebab example before, but if I know that the kebab store down the road at midnight is going to do the best kebabs, and they don't try to position themselves as fine dining, they position themselves as a dodgy kebab. So when I want a dodgy kebab, I know where to go to. So it's about sticking to what you do and what you're good at, and really be consistent in that. James, you would have had a few late night kebabs in your time.
Quite a few. Yeah, I've been in Asia the last 2 or 3 weeks, so I missed the kebabs. But as soon as I got to New Zealand,
Very good. So question. So it's thinking about, what is the piece of the mind that your brand owns and what does it stand for? You don't want to compete. Too many businesses compete. We want to eliminate as much competition as we can, and position ourselves differently to the competition. James, you want to talk about competitors a bit?
yeah. So we want to understand who are our competitors. We don't want to focus on who our competitors are, but we need to be really clear on who's out there, who's currently taking the inquiries or the leads for our business and for our audience, and how are they doing it? And then that helps us to create a distinct separation from them, and that clear positioning that's point of difference from our competitors.
I'm going to jump in on that, on the save money one, if you don't mind.
Yeah, people want to save money. Yeah.
So I ran a conference a few weeks ago, and and I've heard this example used a few times. So um, there was Mike the barber, okay. So he's cutting the hair of Frank. So Frank the customer and Mike the barber. So Mike's almost finished cutting Frank's hair, and Mike turns to Frank as he's about to finish Frank's haircut, and he's whinging about how business has been quiet and about slow. And Frank said to Mike, "Do you mind me?" As he's got the razor on his, back of his neck, he says, "Mike, do you mind me asking you a few questions?" And Mike kind of was a bit taken back, and he says, "Yeah, go for it." And Frank says, "When was the last time you offered to sell me some wax or gel?" He says, never. He goes, "When was the last time you offered to give me a close razor shave?" He says, "Never." He says, "When was the last time you offered to buy me a coffee from next door?" He says, "Never." He says, "When was the last time you thought about putting your prices up?" He says, "I haven't." And Mike's there, and you can see Mike thinking. So they finish the haircut. Frank gets up and he goes to walk out the door. And Mike looks at him thinking that Frank's not going to pay for his haircut. And Frank looks at Mike and he calls Mike over to the front door. And Frank, the customer, says to Mike, the barber, "Hey, Mike, come over here. I want you to have a look at something." So they're standing at the front door of the barber. And Frank, the customer, points across the road, and he points to a pub across the road and a car park. And he says to Mike, the barber, "Mike, what do you see over there?" He says, "I don't know. I see a car park with lots of cars in it." He says, "Okay, but what's the car park?" And he says, "Oh, it's a pub." He said, "So what are all the people in that pub, do all the cars there, what are all the people in the pub doing?" He goes, "Oh, they're eating and drinking." He says, "Right." He goes, so they're all probably spending at least around, we'll round that up and down, $50 a head in there having a drink or having a bite to eat with their family and friends." He says, and he goes, "And tell me, what cars do you see in the car park?" He goes, "Oh, new cars, old cars." He says, "Right, all those cars cost money. Food and drink costs money." He says, "So don't tell me that you can't look at increasing your haircut by $5 or offering to sell someone's wax for $20 because they're probably buying it from somewhere else anywhere, or offering them a razor shave." He says, "If you don't ask, you don't get. So don't," and it's all because he's got fear that he thinks people don't have money to spend, and he doesn't want to be that person or seem greedy. So the point is, I hear lots of excuses from everybody that they think that they're the ones, their business is different and their clients are different. Everyone is the same. Everyone has money to spend. So don't think that your business and your customers are unique in that respect.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a competitor out there who's charging more than you for the same product or the same commodity, as I mentioned earlier. And what are you doing to your brand or to your service that's helping you elevate that and provide more value? It's all about value, right? So yeah, we have that conversation all the time about money with clients. It's not I would say 90% of people that we talk to really reckon that that have this concern around money and pricing.
It's all a mindset. It's all a mindset.
Yeah.
It's just rewiring. There's people out there that need to spend. So if you're not communicating and not asking, someone else is going to steal your customer and client and create that loyalty, and you've just lost the opportunity.
Exactly. But if we get proactive, we include competitors in our plan, then we can clearly understand who exists in the marketplace, how they're capturing their clients and what value they're providing with a similar service that you're providing or product, and then we find that point of difference and we slot right in and we take over.
Absolutely.
So this is a sentence that's popped up a few times today, and I know it's a big one. Ensure we're positioning a brand in the mind of our customers where there's the least amount of competition. And I know you're launching your book in a month or two, Michael, which you mentioned over 25 times.
Yeah, so we're excited to talk about. I'm going to just really briefly touch on. I'm not going to talk about what the name of the book is or anything, but in the book, we mention that phrase 25 times, and in the book we say that we mention it 25 times. And it's about reinforcing of why that message is so important to small business owners. And we'll keep you all updated with the launch of our book in the coming weeks. Bit of a teaser there about the book. Love it.
Love it. Love it.
All right, very good. So consistency, and the key word for today. So we want to find your positioning, communicate it, and consistently run with it. Excuse me. So we've spoken a lot today about positioning in the minds of your customers and clients. So what's really important, and we've discovered this in the last 15 years, is that we want to have that consistency in message. And we want to create a positioning statement that reinforces that. Excuse me. So if someone asks you to describe what your business and brand does in 7 words, could you do it without blinking? Have a think about that for a second. It's so important. And then secondly to that, would the 7 words include a description of a specialization either based on your location or your clientele or your service or product offering? Can you cram it all into a statement? That's a tough gig, but it's what we do with our clients all the time. And how do you best create that positioning statement and use that consistent message? So there's 4 key considerations that we use at Little Marketing to help create this consistent message. And again, this is bring everything back to basics. Forget all the marketing you've ever learned. Throw it all out. It's coming back. It's thinking about these 4 considerations. So it's thinking about what's your offering and how is it different? Where are you offering? Where are you providing that offering? Can you talk about your location? Do you specialize in a particular location? Your audience. Do you specialize in a particular audience or showing your experience and leadership? So I'm going to give some examples here. So let's talk about offering for a second. So let's pretend that you're a fire engineer and that you provide that service only to strata buildings. So you are the fire engineer expert for strata buildings. You know it inside out, back to front. You know how strata committees work. You know how strata companies work. You know what a strata building looks like, all the intricacies around that. You can then specialize in that particular offering. Location. It may be, and for everyone that's listening in Sydney, it may be that you focus in the Sutherland Shire, for example. There's enough strata buildings in the Sutherland Shire to keep you busy forever and a day. So it might be that your focus is the Sutherland Shire. You're a fire engineer. So you can see we're starting to create a statement here. You're a fire engineer for strata in the Sutherland Shire. Very specific and focused. And if your target audience or clientele was reading that, they'd say, oh, yep, that relates to me. They are clearly the experts. I should give them a call. Audience. So we spoke about strata. So we've built in the offering of fire engineering and strata. So strata covers off that audience bit, which is great. And then your experience and leadership. So for businesses that have been doing it for a long time, it's important that you talk about how long you've been doing it for, and the amount of time that you spent working with strata buildings, the amount of strata buildings that you've worked on, for example. So really defining that experience and leadership. Now, you sometimes can't get all of those 4 considerations into a positioning statement, but let me tell you, if you can jam them all, or if you can jam them all in to a positioning statement in under 7 words, then that is your ideal positioning statement. And again, we go through this process with our clients. It's a 4-hour process to make sure that we really find that positioning that makes them different to the competition. So how do you use that positioning statement in your business? How does it actually apply to you in your day-to-day? So it's easy to tell people what you do because you've defined it in 7 words. And you often find that you have it it impacts the focus. It impacts the operations of your business. So I was talking to someone yesterday, and they have a client who runs a chicken, I think it's chicken wings or chicken rib shop. And it's funny, that's the business, and they've got a few different businesses, but that's the business that works so well. And I don't know the business at all, but I bet you it's because they have a focus. They specialize in chicken wings. Their communication is super simple. It'd just be around the fact that they are experts in chicken wings. Their operations would be simple because they're just cooking chicken wings. They're not trying to cook burgers and schnitzel and salads and kebabs and everything. They just become the chicken wing expert. So often the marketing specialty and positioning has an impact operationally on the business. And then because you're talking about who your audience is, when they read about you, when they see what you do, they can then relate to what you're actually doing and your business and your brand. And they say, hey, that's a needs match. I'm looking for chicken wings, or I'm looking for a fire engineer in the Sutherland Shire. I live in the Sutherland Shire. I'm a strata manager in the Sutherland Shire. I'm going to use these guys. Applying it to your logo. This is such a simple one. If you've already got a logo, get your designer to then apply that positioning statement with and around the logo. So wherever people see the logo, they then see that statement as well. It's just a great reinforcement of what you do and why you're different. And then apply it, of course, to your marketing touch points and activities. So whether you do letterbox drops, or you got a website or social, whatever it might be, apply it so that you're using, so again, that you've got that consistent look, feel, and message across all of your marketing. So why do you want to display it? Again, you want to reinforce what it is that you do and why you're different in every touch point. Everyone is a customer. James, you want to jump in on here? I know you want to talk about everyone is a customer bit.
It's the yeah, everyone is a customer. I actually do love that, the fact that everyone is a potential customer or knows someone. Anyone in your audience knows someone who could be a customer. So you want to be super clear and consistent in that message. There's no confusion. Simple, easy to understand, and we want to hammer it home. It's not just consistency, but frequency of message. Is that everywhere you see, as soon as it goes in your logo, everywhere you see that logo, you understand who it is, who it's for, so who you are, who you service, and what you do.
Yeah, perfect. So I might just do a quick interim summary so far. I think the key takeout so far is making sure that you create, you find that positioning statement and define that positioning statement, which you then can reinforce across all your marketing touch points. And what is that positioning statement? It talks about what you do and why you're different, and those 4 considerations. So that is the key and just the starting point for any small business owner when it comes to marketing. It's the first thing that you should be doing before you think or do anything else. James.
Business obstacles. So question, we'll pause for a second while we ask this question. What's one of your biggest obstacles? I'll wait 5 seconds. Have a think about what your biggest obstacle in business is. I reckon that at least 80% of the room, if not more, would have said time as one of the biggest obstacles in your business, because it's universal, right? As business owners, we see it all the time in our marketing planning meetings and talking to new business owners. That time is the biggest obstacle, where as humans, we're juggling every part of our business and personal lives, and time is limited, and time is the one thing that we all become business owners for, right? So the best way to help with the time obstacle is to create those structures in your business and structure in your marketing. And when we create that structure, you kind of, I said this to a client a couple of weeks ago, that you become, you systemize your own work as a business owner. And then you're almost creating tasks as an employee for yourself, so that you can step in, complete those tasks, and step out. And when you bring on more staff to replace yourself in the business, then those tasks are already created, and you can pass those over easily, seamlessly.
And it's part of being a marketing-led business, right? You can then make people accountable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the more structure in your business, the better.
Yeah. I gave this example recently at a talk. So, and I thought of it the night before the talk, and I thought I'm going to use this one at the conference. So, as humans, we roughly spend 33% of our day sleeping. So that's 8 hours a day. Some of us less, some of us more. But as an average, let's call it 8 hours a day. So 33% of your day sleeping. Imagine you then spent 2% of your day, which is actually only 30 minutes. So imagine you spent 2% of your day, 30 minutes a day, and let's call it just in the 5-day work week on marketing. So that would mean that you would spend 2.5 hours every week doing marketing. That's a lot of marketing for a small business owner to do. So that's 33% sleeping, 2% marketing. So 35% between sleeping and marketing still leaves you 65% of your day to go to the gym, go to work, service your clients, pick the kids up from school, take them to training, cook dinner, watch TV, spend time with your partner, whatever it is that you do, you've still got 65% of your day to do the rest. And all you've done is allocated 2% of your day to marketing, and you've got 2.5 hours of it in a week. When I broke it down like that incrementally, the people I was speaking with, they lost it. They went, that is so, when you break it down incrementally, it's crazy, right?
Mm.
You might go, I want that 2%. No worries. Sleep 2% less. So sleep 7.5 hours a day and still do your 2% marketing.
No excuses anymore.
No excuses at all.
Love it.
So structure, I'm just going to let everyone read this on the screen for a second before I say anything. I think this statement is such a simple yet powerful statement. Every business wants to improve. Every business wants to grow their business generally. And one of the biggest barriers is that competition. So structuring your marketing allows you to position yourself differently to the competition so that your activities can work, so that you can grow your business. Pretty straightforward and pretty simple. Now, we've said this a few times today. Structure and a plan in your marketing will provide you two things. I'm going to let everyone think about what the two things are. I'm hoping that you all know it by now. It's consistency in look, feel, and message, and consistency and frequency. Now, I've repeated that a lot today. So that's a nice example. By me repeating that today is a nice example, and hopefully you've remembered it. By me being frequent in communicating these 2 points, hopefully you've remembered that. So if you're then frequent in the look, feel, and message and what you're saying to your customers and clients, then hopefully that'll cut through to them as well. So there's a bit of a hidden meaning by repeating all of those things there, James.
Yeah, I love it. I didn't see it straight away, but brilliant. Bit of Inception.
Inception, very good. You're a sci-fi fan, are you?
Oh, a little bit.
Very
More
good.
a Christopher Nolan fan.
Right, cool. So essentially and I've done that as the last slide. It's about having some structure in your marketing so that you get that consistency and look, feel, and message, consistency and frequency. Write that down if I haven't hammered it home in your mind enough today already, write that down. Consistency and look, feel, and message. It's all about that positioning and positioning yourself differently to the competition and that positioning statement. And that frequency is making sure that you've got a plan in place to constantly be a timing plan in place to constantly do that. So based on those last two comments, we're going to talk about what the next lot of webinars look like so that we can help you to implement some of those things that we just mentioned. So creating that brand positioning, so that look, feel, and message. So creating a positioning in the minds of your customers where there's the least amount of competition. So we're going to do a webinar in the next month or so where we actually will work with you in a step-by-step process to create that brand positioning with you in that positioning statement. And then not long after that, we're going to create a detailed marketing and timing plan to help you to build that timing plan so that you can have that frequency in your activity. So not just the theory behind it, but actually implementing it and executing it. Now, feel free at the end of this webinar, don't be shy. I know people are shy to ask questions. Just don't be shy. Send them through. James and I don't bite. We're going to see them. We'll get them on an email. Send it to the ask@littlemarketing.com.au email. James and I will divvy up the question and answers and come back to you, and we'll try to answer it as best as possible. Now, we put a lot of information out there. Obviously, webinar, it's our first webinar, hoping to do a whole lot more. We obviously do podcasts and quick videos across Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and of course, all those resources all in our website. So make sure you follow those, subscribe. There's always content being updated weekly. So make sure you get on there. And finally, we know that business is overwhelming. We know that marketing is overwhelming. So if marketing is something you've been thinking about and you want to get a start, feel free to reach out. Again, send an email, book a chat into ask@littlemarketing.com.au, and we can book a chat in and see if we're able to help you to create some structure in your marketing to ensure that there's that consistency in look, feel, and message, and consistency in the frequency of that activity. Thanks for the webinar today, James.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me. It was good fun. Thanks for everyone who stuck around to the end. I hope we provided you some good value.
Are you keen to jump on the next webinar with me, James?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not put off yet by it. So let's do another one. Hey.
All right, awesome. Hope everyone, as I said, the purpose of today was for you to learn, to top up your learning, or just get that extra motivation that you need for your business. So hope everyone got plenty out of today, and wishing you all the best.
Thanks, guys.